What is up, everyone? I'm Rusty, your local laboratory maniac. This is Labman EDH, where we specialize in EDH deck building, magic lore, and talking about commander cards. In this video, I want it to be kind of a conversation that you'd have at your LGS where you're chit-chatting about your deck. So comment below if you have a deck like this or any additions I should add to it, or just any unique decks you have you'd like to talk about. Now, this video is about The Witcher. The Witcher, if you don't know, is a video game series and TV series involving a world where monsters fight monster hunters. The monster hunters are called Witchers. Now, this video will be not only the strategies I use in my deck and the cards I use in it, but also how I come up with it in the process of making it. My channel is about helping people deck build, so just giving you an idea is not the only thing I want to do. I want to teach you how to do it. In 2021, I was watching a movie. It was an animated movie on Netflix about The Witcher called The Witcher Nightmare of the Wolf. A witcher, if you don't know, is a monster hunter that's been artificially mutated in a way to make them better hunters, and they hunt monsters for pay. They eventually become so effective that they wipe out most monsters, and unfortunately, that causes them to lose out on money. So some witchers in the Witcher organization start creating their own monsters. And I was watching this and I was like, how can I apply this to magic? Because I'm obviously really big into magic. And actually, the last part where they're changing things in the monsters, I was wondering, I saw a video where they change things like the color of creatures or permanents into a specific color and then benefit from that. I wondered, how do they change creature types in Magic? So I went to actually Google. I didn't know about Scryfall at the time, but Scryfall is something you can obviously use. If you hit advanced search and then you go to text, or you could go to what kind of card it is, you can type in whatever ability you want. In this case, I type in something like change creature type, and it'll come up with a lot of options. Most options in this are blue. And then you got to benefit from that. You got to say, hey, protection from, and then name a creature type. You can throw that into the type line and then hit enter, and it'll come up with like protection from dragon, protection from vampire, protection from all these creatures that the Witchers hunt. And of course, once you get a color base, you might just pick a generic commander. That's what I did in here. I just picked kind of a generic commander that just as a value engine, because you want value engines in your jank decks, because you want to do the things you want to do. You want to get your mana so you can play your cool jank cards. You want to draw your cool jank cards, so you need a draw engine. So you can just pick whatever commander that fits. And my process is kind of like this. I'll go on my phone. I use mainly my phone. I will screenshot cards I like, whether it's on Scryfall or EDH Rec. I'll put them into their own little folder. I will make sure I have my basics, my mana ramp, my removal, my draw engine, and that usually takes up half the deck. I always put in a couple mass recursion spells. Trust me, you'll want them. And a couple protection spells as your colors allow, of course. White has the best protection spells, but other colors have them too. And then you narrow down your theme options to fill out the rest of the deck. Depending on how much lands you have, it might be 35 cards, 30 cards. It just depends. Now, that is kind of the process I use to build decks. Now, let's get into the deck itself. Originally, I had Tulane, Teller of Tales, because I just imagined someone telling me the story of a Witcher. However, Tulane is kind of powerful and people really, really fear him, which is a shame. He is a good draw engine, of course, and then he's a good mana ramp engine, and he returns your stuff. A lot of cards in this deck have ETB abilities. But, I don't want people to target me because I'm playing a jank idea. I don't want them to just like wreck me with their Kalia deck where I have no chance. I want to fly under the radar. So I just did Gladriel, Light of Valinor. It's a 2 generic, 1 green, white, and blue. It's a legendary creature, Elf Noble as Alliance. It says, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. You can add 3 green, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, or you can scry 2, then draw a card, and it's a 3/3. So it mana ramps and draws just like Tulane, and actually boosts my creatures. However, it's not as intimidating as Tulane. Tulane is known for its combos. So, what are some creatures or spells you can use to change creature types? Well, blue has actually a lot of good ones. You got Image Crafter, which is actually a human. There is a human sub theme in here. Remember, tribal decks usually should be sub theme, they should be secondary to what you're actually trying to do. You got Image Crafter. It's a 1 blue. It's a wizard, human. You can tap it, choose a creature type other than legend or wall. Target creature's type becomes the type until the end of the turn. It's not in addition to, it just becomes that type, which is great, and it's a 1/1. You got Amoeboid Changeling. Now, changelings are every creature types, and changelings are also in The Witcher, funny enough. But this one, you can tap to have target creature gain all creature types, or tap the target creature loses all creature types. So you want all your creature changing type abilities to be as repeatable as possible. Then you got stuff like unnatural selection, which fits the theme of Witcher a lot because they're literally evolving things into monsters. It is very unnatural selection instead of natural selection. It is a 1 generic, 1 blue enchantment. You pay 1 generic, choose a creature type other than wall. Target creature's type becomes that type until the end of turn. Now, of course, it keeps saying choose other than wall. Back in the day, walls inherently had the ability they can't attack. So this would have been very broken. You just basically change everything into walls and make it so they can't attack. And that's why it says that. And legend, of course, is no longer a creature type. Back in the day, it kind of was. You got Misform Mutant, which is a 6 mana illusion mutant that lets you tap a generic and a blue to change a creature type. It's pretty cool because mutants, witchers are actually considered mutants in the show. And like I said, you want this to be repeatable. Artificial evolution, which of course fits the theme of Witcher, because that's literally what they're doing by creating these monsters, is only an instant that changes a creature type once. Now, you can use things like Isochron Scepter, which is a 2 generic artifact. It has the ability Imprint, so when it ETBs, you exile an instant with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand, and then you can pay 2 generic, tap it. You copy that exile card, and if you do, you cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So you can repetitively use Artificial Evolution. There's some instants that change all creature types, so you can also put that under Isochron Scepter here. Now, okay, we're changing creature types. There's a lot of things you can do. I chose more Witcher themed cards. Now, a lot of the Witcher themed cards are white and they're human. So you get like Undead Slayer, for example. It's a 2 generic, 1 white creature, human cleric. You can pay 1 white, tap it, exile target, skeleton, vampire, or zombie. And it's a 2/2. That's, of course, the things that the Witcher fights. And it is just a unique card. When's the last time you saw someone play Undead Slayer? It never happens. Then you got Slayer of the Wicked. We have a lot of Slayers in here, of course. It's a 3 generic, 1 white creature, human soldier. It says, whenever this creature enters, you may destroy target vampire, werewolf, or zombie. Obviously, fit in our theme perfect. Are you a type of player that deals with dragons in your pod all the time? You Then this card is perfect for you. You got Rashida Scalebane. It's a 3 generic, 2 white. It is a legendary creature, human. You can tap it to destroy target attacking or blocking dragon. Gain an amount of life equal to that dragon's power. They attack you with the Earl Dragon. Okay, it's dead. And funny enough, Barry used to mean destroy back then. It doesn't mean that now. Then you got like Mercenary Informer as Shroud from Black Spells and Abilities, and you can pay 3, put target mercenary card on the bottom of its owner's library, and it's a 2/1. So you can obviously, it is considered human, even though its original card didn't have human. You can essentially tuck any creature your opponents control to the bottom of their library by changing it to a mercenary. That is an amazing ability. Oh, your Blight Steel's now a mercenary. Oh, and it's going on the bottom. Of course, that won't work with commanders because they can just put it in the command zone, but still, very effective. Then you got Elite Inquisitor, which just fits the Witcher theme perfectly. It's 2 white, it's a human soldier, it has first strike and vigilance, and it has protection from vampires and werewolves and from zombies. It's a 2/2. So, okay, they're swinging at you, turn that thing into a zombie, block it with Elite Inquisitor. Obviously, if that thing's a 2/2, it's automatically going to die. And then you got stuff like Spirit Mirror. It's an enchantment, it's 2 generic, 2 white. During your upkeep, if there are no reflection tokens in play, put a reflection token into play. Treat this as a 2/2 white creature. Then you can pay 0 and then destroy target reflection. So you can use your unnatural selection, turn as many creatures into reflections that your opponents control as possible. Then you pay the 0 on Spirit Mirror to target all the cards you just changed and destroy them all because they're all going to be reflections. It's a fun 2 card combo that destroys the board depending on how much mana you have and how many creatures there are on the field. No one would get mad at that, really. It's way better than casting a farewell and wiping away literally everything. Then there's some cool ones, some really old ones. I love older cards like this. You got Knight of the Mists. When it ETBs, you destroy target knight. Obviously, if in back in the day, if this was the only knight you control, you had to destroy itself. But of course, we'll be changing things into knights if we want and destroying them. Now, that doesn't really fit the Witcher because there's no knight monsters. So you can take it out, put it something else in, obviously. But I just had it because I just love the art, love the style of this deck. Now, Circle of Solace is the next card, and it's good in a lot more decks than give it credit for. If you play a fog deck, this could be pretty good. It's a 3 generic, 1 white enchantment. When it comes into play, you choose a creature type, then you can pay a generic and a white. The next time a creature of the chosen type would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. And of course, how many times have you sit down at a pod and at least one person is playing tribal? A lot. It happens all the time. I think it's one of the most popular ways to build decks. People like go heavy on the tribal. So this works obviously to fog. You know how much I love fogs. Now, this deck does have a sub theme of humans. Again, Witcher is a group of humans that are fighting monsters. So you got Catilda, the Dawn Heart Prime. It's a 1 green, 1 white legendary creature, human warlock. It has protection from werewolves, which is how I found this card actually. I looked up protection from and then found a lot of good cards. And obviously, Witchers fight werewolves. It says human creatures you control have tap. Add 1 mana of any color of this creature's colors. Now, that makes most of your humans mana dorks, which is perfect. And then you can pay for a green and a white, tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and it's a 1/1. So it fits a lot of our themes perfectly. Then you got Angel of Glory's Rise. It's a 5 generic, 2 white angel. As flying, and when it ETBs, exile all zombies, then return all human cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a 4/6. Now, this is perfect because it board wipes after turning things into zombies, and it's mass recursion, which you're gonna definitely want. And I just love this card. I got it back in. It was actually one of the first sets I got into, the original Innistrad sets. I started in Zendikar, but this came out soon after, and I still have it. Now, you got enchantments and sorceries that help humans, of course. Lay to Rest, I thought was great and thematic. It's a 3 generic, 1 green enchantment. When a human you control dies, you draw the card. And then whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you gain 2 life. Remember, our commander will put +1/+1 counters on, and other things like Catilda does too. Then you got stuff like Mass Appeal. It's a 2 generic, 1 blue sorcery. Draw a card for each human you control. Now, this fits one of our themes, which is humans, and it also gives us card draw. You want to obviously condense all those because you're going to have a lot of cards that go in a deck, so you got to condense them somehow. Then you got cool thematic cards that you can obviously exchange out for others, like Dragon Hunter, protection from dragons. A Diagraph Escort makes it in something it's paired with protection from zombies. Perfect. Then you got stuff like Exorcist, which isn't creature type changing, but it's one of my favorite cards. One of my favorite older cards for sure. It destroys target black creature. I imagine most monsters in Witcher are black themed. So then you got Midnight Duelist, protection from vampires, and the list goes on. You can obviously look up protection from on Scryfall and find a bunch. Now, Guardian Project I thought was pretty thematic. The first time I heard about these Witchers changing creature types, I thought, oh, okay, that's Simic. Simic are adding crab legs to things, adding tentacles to things. They're very weird. It's a weird guild. And Guardian Project is actually their project to morph things into like creature hybrids to fight off Nicol Bolas. Basically, it is a 3 generic, 1 green enchantment. When a non token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, you draw the card. So, this is perfect for creature themed decks. Then you got a card from Warhammer called And They Shall Know No Fear. It's a 1 generic, 1 white instant. You choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until the end of turn. Now, this is thematic because Witchers are afraid of basically nothing. You can't have fear when you're fighting monsters. And it gives a good example of turning your own stuff into specific things. Like your commander is not human. So you can use unnatural selection or something to change it into a human and then give everything, including your originally non human things, protection and indestructible. And then just a funny little thing you can do. Basic lands are a cool way to thematicize your deck. I put the D&D lands, basic lands in here because they also tell stories on them. They're one of the few basic lands that have flavor text. And almost every story kind of fits a little side quest in the Witcher video games. And that's essentially the video. So we talked about how to use Scryfall to look up key phrases that you may not see on EDH Trick. We talked about using maybe movies, video games, or other IPs to make Magic the Gathering decks and theme around that to make a unique deck style. We talked about the deck itself and the cards in it, where you want to transform your opponent's creatures into monsters and then destroy them. If you found this video useful, just let me know in the comments below. I like to include not only deck ideas, but how I go about doing them. That way you can build your own deck. You are technically a planeswalker in Magic the Gathering, so your unique style and personality and interests outside of Magic can influence your gameplay, making it a very fun game. Now, until I see you guys in the next one, have a good day.